once I'm doing my best to motivate you. So I'm going to lead the song, knowing my limitations. So I'm going to take it from there. Okay, 3, 2, 1. That was deliberately done so that we demonstrate to the congregants here when the pastor says that he does this for a living, what is it that he means? So it was probably, I had hoped that we were going to have a projector. Yes. Where do I connect? Because I have a flash disk.
You got a memory stick?
Yes. If you don't, it's always that lost, you can still proceed.
Yeah, we didn't get a computer.
Okay, no, it's fine. All is not lost, let's proceed. Because some of the things that I was told to present here, they needed to be depicted or projected on the wall so that they make sense to the congregants. So I am not going to say amen, I'll keep on saying congregants. So the theme was your child, your project. So the broader theme is parent-teacher relationship. I'm glad that the pastor came before me because he touched on something very fundamental, that we need to be involved as parents, we need to be disciplined, we need to be there for our kids. So it was as though that he knew what the main speaker was going to say. Remember, understanding. So when I say main speaker, I'll be referring to my wife. Please support me on that one because I need it for my marriage. So the agenda, ladies and gentlemen, this is serious. The agenda for today is going to be simple. I'm going to, okay, I am identified already. My name is Malindi. So in terms of credentials, she said to me it's important that I tell you guys what is it that I know so that it becomes easier for you to give me cooperation. I stood before many forums before. So the pattern of the tradition is that most people, if they don't know who you are, what you are capable of doing, they tend to be reluctant to pay attention. So in most cases, the message goes through the cracks. So I said, okay, though I'm reluctant to do that, but as you wish, ma'am, I will introduce myself. So that, okay, academically, I would say that I'm going to use the MQF levels because I think all of us more or less understand. MQF level 7, I specialized in psychology, MQF level 8, industrial psychology, MQF level 9, fraud risk management, MQF 10, it's work in progress. Those who understand MQF 10 will understand what work in progress means. It's like working on your marriage. So, corporately, I'm from this organization called Hoerskool. I don't know if you are able to see it yet. That is where corporately I'm from. So, the main speaker is the CEO of that organization. Please understand, I'm not here to advertise the organization. But as I said, that in terms of the protocol, it's important for you to establish local standards so that your audience understands what they are doing. So the main speaker is the CEO of this company called Hoerskool. So corporately I'm deployed from that organization to come and stand in. But as I'm standing before you here this morning, at this very moment, I'm standing as a parent. So I had to justify my standing before you so that I don't waste your time. So parents, your child, your project is going to be used parallel to your child or your life, just to draw comparison between the two. So hence I'm saying that I'm glad that the pastor came before the next speaker. So when we deal with project, it doesn't matter, irrespective of the size or the magnitude of the project, there are four basic fundamental pillars. There has to be a scope. The project must have a time frame. Quality is an issue in a project. And lastly, but not least, resources are fundamental. So those four pillars in any project, they are very critical. So they determine the success or the failure of a project. So that being the case, the theme was deliberately titled Your Child, Your Project. The same effort, the same energy we exert when we are busy with project in our office spaces, it is the same that is expected of us as parents to show in terms of involvement in our child's education. So as I proceed, I will demonstrate through the studies. So I am going to make reference to some of the studies that were done by academics of note. So it's not going to be a reference to the studies that were done by people not known. So those who are in the academia field might recognize some of the studies that we're going to make reference to. So the theme was deliberately titled Your Child Project, so as to encourage the parents and to demonstrate to the parents how far their involvement can go in terms of helping the child to achieve better. So we said those four are fundamental pillars when we deal with a project. Equally, it applies to your child. Scope, it is when you determine as a parent, the child involved, what is it that you want to become? Let's take an example. What is it that you want to become? Is it Mrs. President? Not that big. It's what you determine, what you want to become as you grow up. The child will say, I want to become an engineer, whatever the case may be. So you as a parent, more or less, you have the scope. We know that in most cases, the scope will change depending on the circumstances of life. But more or less, there is a scope. For you, my child, to be able to get to this position or to this end point, it will be critical for you as you progress from your elementary school until you get to the high school. Focus on the following subjects. That is where Mrs. Zeidenhout and Mr. Theoro become relevant now. That if you intend to become a lawyer, please make sure that at least your grammar is up to scratch. Because you cannot not encourage the pastor is laughing. Pastor, I think it's a prerequisite for any person who wants to become a lawyer. At least speak properly. Don't just excel in what way, because you need English as the tool of trade. So if you want to become, let's say for instance a doctor, it would be critical for you to understand cures. You're not going to take shortcuts and say that I'm going to do medicine and somehow, miraculously, when I get there, I will become a student of PhD with MedPhD. It doesn't work that way. So, as you are determining the scope, that is where these prerequisites become critical. So we said there is time, there is quality, there are resources. So you can have the first three in place. If the fourth one, resources, are not in place, it will be a waste of time. So now, in this case, in terms of my mandate, the resources that the main speakers are going to refer to, they are now stakeholders. That is where you parents come in, where teachers come in, where your learner come in. So in terms of the approach that was going to be depicted on the screen, it's a pity that you won't be able to see you, but I'll try to pen a picture so that it makes sense. If it doesn't, the message will get home still. Remember, I have a point to prove right now. I cannot afford to fail now. So even if you don't understand, pretend to understand. This is important. So there are three stakeholders when we come to matters of schooling. So we have the learner as the internal stakeholder, if you may say so. We have the parent as one of the stakeholders. We have the educators, the guys who are sitting before us. There is a guy who made a fundamental quote, and I quote him. He said, if you want to give anyone, or you want to put rather anyone on a pedestal, that guy recommended that let those guys be teachers. Because teachers are the society's heroes, I close quote. That is how fundamental they are. Meaning that from teachers, the guys who are sitting in front row, they are the ones from which all these professions we have emanate from. So meaning that without teachers, there would not be any other profession we came to know of. It is debatable. Some may say there must have been other profession before teachers. But I still maintain that you need a teacher to be able to produce, and then BCHP. You need a teacher to be able to produce a lawyer, a doctor, whatever the case is. For a second, it looks like this might happen today. So many, but after this I may go home and say this. Those who are married, they understand. Pastor, you understand? I'm waiting. Not a problem, you understand?
I might get my head, but
Brilliant. What value added in my life. Okay, this one was addressed. Okay. Basically, the agendas like this, admin matters that we dealt with. The channel of project is where we are. So the gist of today's gathering is parent-teacher relationship. So by submission of an academic study, we're going to demonstrate to you why is it important that we become part of, we become involved actively as stakeholders in our kids' education. And then the third one, the last one, it will be the parting shot. Why? I have identified myself, I gave you guys my credentials, and I explained to you, I stand here as a parent, not representing a company. But for those that did not, or were not able to see what is on the t-shirt, you will see on the bottom right, it is the name of the company from which I'm deployed. That is the name of the company that the CEO, the main speaker is the CEO. So this is where we are. So the first part we have is that we are going to treat your child as a project. And we said the fundamental pillars, the scope, the time, the quality, and the resources. Fundamentally, we said resources. We can have the first three in place. If the fourth one is not in place, it is useless for us to continue planning for the project. So if we plan, scope, you are going to be a doctor, it is well and fine. So we are going to help you to become one. Child, this is the time frame that you are going to take. You are not going to sit in high school longer than 3 years or 4 years. You are not going to grow in grade 12. That is the time frame. You are not going to accommodate you beyond so many years in one class, because ultimately you become a hazard. Staying in one class for a long time breeds errors. That remains. Do you agree with that? Because I think now you understand the teachers, you know how they operate, you know the rules, you even know the categories of the merit and demerit. You are even in a position to suggest the new merit system, because you stayed in that class for a long time. You want to change the school system, you want to change the policy, you question whatever it is that is presented before you. That is why time is important in anything. Quality, the type of student learners we want to produce. So we want to produce people who are going to add value to the community. Resources, we said that the resources, the first three, without the fourth one, it will be pointless. The fourth one is where the teachers, the parents, the students, they come together. Not only that, remember, as parents and teachers, it doesn't only end here. We have the community. You have your pastors, you have your universities. Because whatever child that we raise here, Mr. Carroll, that child is going to represent Hoerskool at UP, at Stellenbosch, at UCT. So they will be saying that this is what Hoerskool produces. So they will not be saying that this is what Malindi is doing. This is what Hoerskool produces. Because they go there not as Malindi, as a learner or a student from Hoerskool, Silverton. That's why parents were saying that it is critical as you're going to submit through the study that was done. Our involvement and the manner in which we rate kids, our kids, it is very fundamental. So stakeholders are the ones that we mentioned. So there is a person who said a very fundamental quote here. Their name is, okay, I have 3 of them, but I want to start with Sydney. So Sydney basically was addressing the importance of teachers. And I quote, he said, any one of us who remembers our education, they will not obviously remember the algebra equation that were taught. They will not remember the grammar, the English grammar that they were taught, or the chemistry, formulas that they were taught. But almost 98% of them, they will remember their teachers. Because teachers, he said, teachers are fundamental to an educational system. So they are the backbone. So you can teach me now the algebra equation today. Ask me after 3 months, I would have forgotten about it. But 10 years from now, I will still remember who's Mr. Big. I will still remember Mrs. Zayden. Because the principles and the values that we impart and you inculcate to these children, you are not even aware. They stay with them for long. I studied many years ago. I was in high school many years ago. But I can still tell you now, the person who taught me, it was biology at the time. His name was Mr. May. And the one who taught me physics at the time. No, the one who taught me biology was Mrs. Smith, an Indian lady. The one who taught me biology, no, physics, was Mr. Smith, the Indian guy. They were partners. And it's many years ago. But if you were to ask me about the periodic table, I will tell you that I can recognize it by child. But don't ask me what. Don't ask me about what I do, but I know what it is to do this table because Mr. Smith invented it in such a way that many years from now, I will never forget the periodic table. So don't come and tell me to give me the sign of sodium. But I know you'll find it on the periodic table. That is the manner in which it was presented to me by Mr. Smith. So this guy was saying that teachers are very fundamental because you might not remember the equations, you might not remember the spelling, the grammar, the punctuations, whatever it is that they teach you. However, many years from now, whatever they taught you, the values that they inculcated in you, they will still be with you, they live with you forever. That is why it's important for us as parents to know the value that these guys are playing in our kids' lives. They are not just teachers, they are not just there to teach. And there is this lady, the first one, Maya, it's a neuroscientist, in trying to explain because she was asked, how is it for you to be a parent? Remember, it is one thing to be a professional, it's another thing to be a parent. Because there is no school. Maybe there is, I don't know. The last time I checked, there was no university technical that teaches you, go and register that I'm going to do one-on-one parenting. There is no such. That is why parenting is so difficult and so confusing, but worth it. It is not easy, believe me, I know. I said I spent years as a parent. And in my case, it's even worse because I must understand what is going on when they talk about chromosomes of the 12 and what they are doing at Hoerskool. When they are talking about whatever I don't understand, I must be there and understand. So that's why I'm saying that it is not easy to be a parent. So the neuroscientist said, I came to parenthood like every one of us do, which is knowing nothing and wanting to learn everything, close quote. That is how difficult it is. So I'm here to encourage you that, remember, I am not just an expert. I'm one of the troubled parents ever found. But I still believe in parenthood. If I were to choose, or if I were to be given a chance, knowing what I know now, that would you still want to be a parent? I would say no, wait, let me apply that. But I'm saying that once you have gone through the process, through the hassles, the difficulties, you understand that it is worth it. Why is it worth it? Because of that project. You see the one with a smile in the middle. It makes it worth it once you see this project coming to fruition. You see the project manifesting now into something beautiful, adding value to the community. You say, ultimately, this is how, or this is what my product ultimately came to be. The contribution of all the guys, the stakeholders. But before then, you regard them as terrorists because they even deny you a chance to sleep. They make just life difficult for you. So, the Tibetans, they have a project that says that, I quote, a child without education is like a bed without feathers. So you can imagine a bed without feathers. Because that's a bed with feathers. Demonstrate that you're a bed. Okay, moving right on. The stakeholders are the ones that we mentioned. Remember, each one of the stakeholders has a critical role to play in this engagement. The one who's rolling is the terrorist. The bouncing one, the parents and their duties. We have to give support, guidance, discipline. All those are critical. And this is the guys who are sitting in front. Remember, this is some of the things that are responsible for. But then the foundation is done by those, the parents. All three of them, they are stakeholders. We are in this journey together called education. So we need the partnership of all the three for this work. But ultimately, the goal is the one in the middle. We are giving everything we have, not for ourselves, not for our benefit, for the one in the middle of our project. So now, the gist of our topic is based on parent-teacher relationship. I am going to move first so that I save time. So there was a study conducted in the University of Nebraska many years ago by Minke and others. So the title of the study was The Congruence in Parent-Teacher Relationship. So basically the purpose of that study, they wanted to establish what role does the relationship between parents and teachers play in helping the child to excel academically, social, and behavioral. And it was found, remember the sample was over 170 learners. It was from various schools and various institutions. So some of their findings, which are very profound, and some of them they resonate, they are making sense to me as a parent because indeed, I see that this is not just an academic exercise, it was indeed research, and it is based on what exists. They said it is important for us to be involved because it plays an important role in supporting the achievement of the child. So I've seen many times when my kids have an assignment or a project task, and I become part of that project. So in most cases, I'm not saying that I'm helping them, in guiding them, fine-tuning them, telling them to focus on the goal. They tend to perform much better than when they do it, and also I'm not even part of it. So the only time I come to realize that no man, what they did is wrong. It's when they score below 4. That is when I notice that. But what is Mr. Zayden going to do? You go to school the whole month and here you come with 4. What is it that they are doing from Monday to Sunday? It's me now trying to justify it. So, but then as a parent, if you're involved, you understand that, okay, but they did their part. They needed me to do my part in helping the project to succeed. So in most cases, and I'm saying, okay, let me rather say in all cases, where I was involved, they were able to score high. Not because I assisted them, but because I guided them. And I was there as a cheerleader, that you are on the right track. Because the ones at Hoerskool, they used to do speech competition. I would make them repeat when we do the rehearsals over and over and over again until we get it to a point where we want. Once you unleash them, they cause damage. That's the good. So it was also found that. So this is critical. I want us let's forget about the rest. Let's focus on this one. Because this one, to me, it says a lot. Bullet number 1, 2, 3, 4. It says that the body of knowledge indicates that the parent's involvement over the elementary years is associated with improved social skills and decreased behavioral problems. So this is what causes the rift between us, the parents and the teachers. Remember, when you send a child to school, the child already has learned values, okay, it is assumed that values were learned, discipline was learned, instruction. It is assumed. So by the time you unleash them to school, teachers don't expect to get them, start teaching this child how to respect others, how not to talk, how not to ignore. They assume that learning has taken place in that regard. Theirs is to deliver the academic material, to build on what has been done at home. But then in most cases, it's not the case. Without wasting any time, I'm moving fast now. I'm about to close. I had the privilege of talking to a teacher. I think she is a grade 12 teacher in one of the schools I'm not going to name. She's teaching mathematics, the pure math, not mathematics, and English, grade 12. I was asking her, do you really like what you're doing? Is this what you wanted to become? She said, yes, since childhood. Do you still think it's worth it for you to go all the way, even to university, training to become an educator? She said, I thought so at first until I came to work at this school. So I said, explain to me what is happening. This is real life stories. I'm not a teacher's person. Remember, I'm giving instructions. And I'm giving the scripts. I cannot afford to go off the script. She said to me, you know what, many years ago, I think being a teacher was worth it, and it is the case. I said, make me understand. She said, now these kids, they have rights. Some of the rights that they have, you think that we are operating from two different constitutions. So you think that they are having chapter 2 of the constitution, their own Bill of Rights, and the entire society is having something different. I say, why is that the case? She said to me, do you know that today a child can come to you as a teacher and slap you so hard, you can't do anything about it. You can't even take your finger and say push back or scream at the child. But the child is allowed to slap you, Pastor. You can even fail it. It is well. So when you wake up, you are not expected to revolt or to fight back. You must try to understand, my child, tell me, where are you coming from? Why did you want to kill me? That is the approach that I am told, remember, not an education. That's what you are saying. I said, is this the case? Do you honestly tell me that my child, because as she was talking, I was thinking about my child and the terrorism that they might be unleashing at the schools. Because remember, the kids that we are raising, they are this at home and they are something else at school. That's why in most cases when we come to parents' meeting, we become confused. That and it's impossible. Are you telling me that my child spoke bad to you? And then you say yes, and you think that no, this is an agenda. It's not. The child that I'm raising at home, the child that I come to fetch here, the same child. And I'm telling you now as a parent, it is true. It is like that. So it is important for us to be involved, to know our kids. So this person, the teacher was saying to me, we are even scared. Imagine a teacher being scared to go into a class to teach. Because these kids, they are on a mission to prove a point. Because once they slap you, they have another one on standby to take a video. So the video goes viral. You become one of those teachers who are defeated by a teacher who can't even spell properly. So history will judge you. History is not going to say that no, but the teacher knew what she was doing. The problem is the kids. No, history will judge you very harshly. When you are here on the newspapers, they will say, it is one of those teachers who was beaten by a grade 9 teacher, not grade 9 line, who can't even spell the words of offenses. So you'll be known as such. That's why, parents, it's important for us to agree with this researcher that a child that is brought well from home, the values that inculcate properly from home, the discipline that is instilled from home. We don't just instill discipline and we move on. We instill, you monitor. And part of monitoring is for us to establish a relationship with the educator. It is important. I'm not saying that bother them, pester them, or stop them. From time to time, once in a while, just check. How is learner so and so doing? Are we still on the same page? If there is an issue, the teacher will engage. Mind you, they have nothing to gain from sabotaging your child. They are parents of children. It is not as if they are teachers. You don't understand what parenting is. They are teachers/parents. So if they say to you, Pastor, your child is getting out of order, don't take it as though this is sabotage. No, it is not. Remember, your child is a child of a pastor at home. And when they get to school, they become part of a clique, a small group of terrorists. They terrorize teachers. Parents, I'm telling you the truth. This is the truth. This is what it is. And we don't know about this. The only time we get to know about this is when the child fails or is declared not yet competent. Because you come here fuming and fighting. But do you honestly want to tell me that my child who studies all the subjects except from African speak English cannot master English? That is our reasoning as parents. They study geography in English, they study life sciences, life orientation, they name them in English. And you tell me they cannot pass English grammar. How is that possible? So for us to be able to be on the same page and to avoid a situation, but the only time we come to know about Mrs. Bezedo is when there is substandard performance and you are called, you are summoned to school with your child, who's going to lie to you on the way to school. Yeah. And I almost passed, but because of 1, 2, 3. So that is what they do. That is why it's important for us to establish a sound, effective, and productive relationship with our teachers. Because as the main speaker was going to say, a parent-teacher relationship contributes fundamentally to the academic, social, and behavioral success of our learners. So we are not raising only kids at school. Remember, this is multidimensional. In as much as they are your child at home, at school they are learners. And as much as they are learners at home, beyond home and school, they are part of the community. So you need to raise a child, a citizen that will be able to transcend all those dimensions without any difficulties. If there is anything, raise a responsible child who will add value to the community. That's why I'm saying that I concur with this research. Because the research basically says that the parent-teacher relationship, if I were to summarize what is written there, plays a critical role in boosting the higher achievement of learners, be it academic, be it social skills, behavioral skills. So that is the essence of our theme today. Your child, your project. But remember, it is your project, not your project alone, Pastor. It is, she is or he is our project. That's why the engagement models depicted 3 of us. The picture was the child, the learner, and the parent. So I am now going to close without wasting much time with a couple of guys who said very fundamental things. Remember, most of them were parents and most of them were academics. So to the parents, I quote, this is Sydney now. This guy, okay, the last one was a therapist, the last one. So the message to the parents now. So he says the affirming words from moms and dads are like light switches. Speak a word of affirmation at the right moment in a child's life, and it's like lighting up a room full of possibilities. Close quote. And if you're a parent, you know and understand. If you have a child and they are given a project and you are telling them, you know what, my child, there is no one who can do this better than you. Just by saying that, the performance is going to drop, because now you have assured the child that indeed you are together. And I believe you. But keep on reminding the child that you are a terrorist. Mr. Theron said, yeah, you are not a child at all. And Ms. Who said you are not a child at all. So, words of affirmation, it's important for us to remember that. Let's believe in them. Let's encourage them to remember who they are. So now, the second one says that, I quote, a teacher affects eternity. So you can never know as a teacher the influence that you have. That's what I'm saying, that Mr. Matthew, when he taught me many years ago, he never knew. I've been talking to him many years. I don't know if he's still alive. That is what the quote implies. So the last one, to all of us now. It says 100 years from now, it will not matter, Ms. Bezedo, what was in your bank account. It will not matter. Mr. Theron, it will not matter what house you stayed in. Man, it will not matter what type of a car you drove. But the critical thing, history or posterity, is going to judge us by the difference that you made in a child's life. That is how we're going to be taught. Not by how much money you earned, where you live, what you do. The importance and the value that you added in the child's life. So with those words, I yield back. Thank you.